how fun that thing
Honey,
looks.
it's way past time.
I was cruising, listening to some
before you get it, baby. Show me your soul.
Guys, I hope you're having a wonderful Monday and a happy Memorial Day with your family. Maybe you guys are sparking up hot dogs and burgers on the grill. Today I want to share a story with you that deals with somebody losing their life, but it's a little bit different than the normal story. By the way, I really had a lot of people reaching out to me saying, Jesse, I want to fight on behalf of the Democrats. You're wrong. We all have our own opinions. I love when you guys share your opinions with me. And there's one thing that my venters can attest to. I don't require that you think like me. And even if sometimes in the comments back I say, no, you're wrong, obviously I'm not the final determinant of what's right or wrong. So it's just my opinion. So whatever opinion you guys have, I welcome it. It is welcome here. I want you guys to be able to talk freely with me. And it's really fun when people can agree and disagree with you and you can still move forward. That's the thing that reminds me of when I was growing up back in the day. You could have a disagreement and still be friends. Guys, on May 5th, this lady here, her name is Wansett Green. She's a nurse with over 20 years of experience, and she lives in the state of Florida, and she's 54 years old. On May 5th, her mother had shortness of breath and checked into the North Shore Medical Center in Northwest Miami-Dade. Now, apparently, after being checked in, her mom's health took a turn for the worse and she quickly started to deteriorate. They moved her to the IC unit and then ultimately she had to be intubated. A couple of days later, Wansett Green and her son and daughter, so this woman's grandchildren, come to visit her in the hospital. While they're there in the room, keep in mind her mom's plugged into she's being intubated, so she's on the ventilator, right? And all of a sudden, Wansett Green says, enough, and she literally unplugs her mom. The hospital staff hear the sirens go off. They run into the room. They're not able to help her mom. Her mom ends up passing. Before the police get there, Wansett Green takes off and goes home. Now, I don't know if she got in her car, hit the gas as fast as she could and left, or if she just felt like, hey, we lost my mom, I'm going home, right? I don't know what her state of mind was. Either way, the police went to her house and arrested her, and now she's being held without bond, and they're trying to get her for manslaughter of an elderly patient. Now, here's the interesting thing. The last 2 times that I've gone in for medical procedures, surgeries, I had to let them know what my wishes were in case something happened during the surgery and I was basically brain dead or whatever. Did I want to be resuscitated, or did I want a DNR, the do not resuscitate order? And then who was supposed to make a decision for me in case it involved A, B, C, and D? And while I was there, my daughter was with me and I said, you're going to be the decision maker, right? So it was kind of like a living will specifically for the hospital and the surgery. I have a funny feeling that Wansett Green's mother probably didn't have a DNR, but not because she didn't think of it. I think it's one of those things that when you go into the hospital, you're not thinking about losing your life. You're thinking about getting better. And so I have a funny, sneaky suspicion that her mom didn't have a DNR because she wanted someone to fight for her and keep her alive. However, I don't know Wansett Green's mom, neither do you, and for all we know, they could have had many intimate conversations through the years about this very scenario. According to Wansett, she believed that her mom would not want to suffer, and therefore she was helping her mom go to the other side in peace. As a matter of fact, she told the nursing staff as they came in to try to help her mom, let my mom go. She doesn't want to go like this. She wants it to be peaceful, right? At the same time, it's not like she's stuck around for the police, which leads me to think she might have known that she wasn't supposed to do that. Because although she was a nurse for 20 years, she wasn't a nurse at this particular medical center. Bum, bum, bum. Also, there's the idea that if your mom survives, she might need intensive long-term care. And let's be honest, there's a lot of adults out there that really don't want anything to deal with that financially or or time-wise. A lot of families have to make that tough decision to take their parents into hospice or into adult care facilities, right? And maybe she deep down didn't want to deal with that, and so she just pulled the plug. Either way, she could potentially be in a lot of trouble. So again, my brain's thinking either she really loves her mom or she might have despised the old bat. You know what I mean? Rest in peace, Mom. I'm just kidding. Okay, so Nanoski 8270. Oh, let's save that one for the end. That one's the one I want to save for the end. Nigel's mom, 2136, says, it's called a living will, people. Then there are no questions if this happens to you. So here's the weird thing, Nigel's mom. If this lady was a nurse for 20 years, her experience would have to lead her to believe that this stuff happens so regularly that her mom should have had a living will. That's why there's a piece of me that really believes that her mom might have been stubborn, not wanting to leave a will, because sometimes people don't for whatever reason. Sometimes they're not crazy reasons either. If I put you in my will, that could give you onus to end my life so that you get, the stuff that I'm leaving you. I know that sounds crazy, but I've seen movies about that, and so have you, right? So maybe the mom didn't trust any of the family members. Evidently, there was no live-in will. So, I don't know. That's super interesting to me. You meet so many people. I mean, guys, think about this. How many times have you been anywhere and all of a sudden you find yourself talking to a nice elderly woman? Whenever you're talking to this woman, you're thinking, this is somebody's sweet little grandma, and she must just be the sweetest lady ever. But little do you know, her kids hate her. Grandkids haven't seen her in decades, right? She could be just being a nice little old grandma for her 5 minutes that she's talking to you. In reality, she might be a monster. Grandma, you're a monster. Shut up! Bring me the belt. But Grandma, I love you enough. I remember my mom used to always talk about Mommy Dearest. I never saw that movie, but I think I've seen a clip or two. And that lady looked crazy. Kiki Jefferson says, how did she delete her mom if her mom couldn't live without the machine? Kiki, that's a darn good point, but here's the thing. Sometimes when you're intubated and you're on life support, sometimes you heal miraculously. And for all we know, she might have had like a 50 or 60% chance of getting better. So again, we're kind of looking at it and saying, oh, she was on her deathbed. I didn't really get that opinion based on what I've heard. But if you want to look at it from like, is the hospital greedy and they don't want anybody unplugging their money point of view, then I could see where you're coming from. But my God, doctors and hospitals make so much money no matter what they do. Do you think they'd really prolong a woman's misery just to make some more money off of her, I assume, her Medicare? Vegan Powder Superb 9698, I don't even know if I pronounced that right, says either she didn't want her mother suffering or her mother always abused her. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, now you start to see the reality. We don't live in a 100% or 0% world. We live on a graded scale where sometimes things are sometimes cloudy and sometimes they're somewhere in the middle. Is there a chance that this woman just hated her mom and did not want to be wiping her butt and taking care of her for the last 10 years of her life? And so she played God and she pulled out the trigger. You can't handle the truth. I want the truth. You can't handle it. It's fascinating when I say it like that, huh? You're like, damn it, Jesse. I like this show. I know. T. Bolton 156 says, how dare she cheat the hospital from racking up necessary medical bills? T. Bolton, you're just like I'm talking about here. You're looking at it from tainted glasses. You look at the hospital and the insurance companies and the doctors, and you look at them as just a money-making racket. And for all I know, you could be right. Maybe people don't like when others play God and it costs them money and funding, and maybe that's why this woman's risking going to jail. I don't know. But I would love to find out, and wouldn't that be interesting if that's true? What if people in hospitals are being kept alive needlessly just so they can milk out a couple more $100,000 from the insurance? That is crazy. VS Philly-1 says, or VS Philly, excuse me. VS Philly says, I support this nurse to some extent. It is so hard to watch a loved one being tortured, especially if you know this is not their wish. Prayers for this family. Again, when I watched the video, I didn't get the impression that she was being tortured. She was on a ventilator. Let me give you a scenario. What if you need to be on a ventilator while the antibiotics or whatever medication she's on kind of go into effect? And what if 4, 5, 6 days later, what if she would have been in pretty good shape? You never know. I didn't get the full story, and I don't see how you could have squeezed more out of that 2-minute video than I did, because I listened to it 2 or 3 times. So yeah, I agree with you. It does look kind of fishy and suspicious. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't know at all. For all I know, this woman could be shady as all hell. She just didn't want to take care of her mom. And the reason I say this is I have probably spoken in my lifetime, this is no joke, I have probably spoken to a good 50 or 60 women that just don't like their mom, just don't like their family members. You guys have all met these people too. Think about this. You've probably met 3 or 4 people a year, each year for the past 20 or 30 years that don't like their family members. Why would you want to take care of a family member? I mean, she never left you a part of her living will, so for all you know, she didn't leave you any money or nothing either. I could see a person saying, screw that, I'm just going to unplug this woman. Okay, here's the last comment. This one was so good, it took up a whole 3x5 card. Whole 3x5 card. It's from Nanoski. Nanoski 8270 says, she needs to be held responsible. Ooh, devil's advocate here. She just can't walk in and pull the plug because she felt like it. I can almost feel the energy. Almost like she's envisioning a shady family member trying this to her mom, right? See, there's other siblings. You think all those siblings felt the way that Juancette did? Not necessarily. She just can't walk in and pull the plug because she felt like it. She was supposed to notify the doctors and staff before even thinking of doing that. And I think even if she would have notified the staff, I think it's up to the doctors and staff. Because remember, she doesn't work there. She just happened to be a nurse. And by the way, just because you're a nurse, I don't think that necessarily means you know better. Catholics, we believe in suffering well. You're supposed to suffer at the end of things. It's part of the circle of life. You're supposed to have your kids take care of you. It's supposed to be miserable for them. A little misery goes a long way. Shows people that you care. She needed to speak to her immediate family members to see what they should do for their mother. That's right. Wouldn't that be crazy if this was one of the kids? But she didn't. What she did was illegal. She knew what she did was wrong. That's why she left the hospital before the police got there, so she wouldn't get arrested. She needs to go to prison. Looks like she'll be spending the rest of her life in jail. May her mother's soul rest in heaven with the angels. God, that sounds like a woman that's got an interest in this situation, doesn't it? Oh my goodness. She's got a little deposit made up in that investment there. She sounds like she's invested in that family. That's probably that lady's sister. I'm telling you, you guys know as well as I do, there are some shady ass families where people don't necessarily like their loved ones. So do I think it was an accident, guys? My gut tells me that she went in there and she loved her mom. She unplugged her mom because she had a temporary bout of crazy ass, right? That's what I think happened. I don't think she is actually a bad person. But at the same time, that's why we have court cases. What if we do end up finding out that Mrs. Green does have brothers and sisters and that none of them wanted this to happen, that they would have been more than happy to take care of their mother? So I don't know the whole situation yet. At the same time, let's talk about you guys. What do you think? If this was your mom, God forbid, or your dad, do you think you would pull the plug? I think as normal thinking people, none of us would pull the plug. We know that there's a certain decorum, a certain protocol, a certain etiquette, right? I don't even walk in front of somebody when they're putting, right? So you think I'm gonna go pull the doctor's plug? No, I'm gonna let the doctor do that. The doctors will tell you that when you're on life support and the breathing machines and stuff, that when they turn that off, there's always a chance that your body will click on and start breathing for itself. There's a chance. Now, a lot of times they'll give that probability like, hey, you know, we're 95% sure that when we unplug this machine, you know, your mom's gonna go to the other side. But wouldn't that be crazy? She unplugs the machine like a badass and all of a sudden her mom wakes up and she still goes to jail for attempted unaliving? Holy moly. These stories are interesting. So Jesse, let me get this straight. If someone takes someone's life, you want them to go away forever, but you're willing to make an exception for Mrs. Green? God, I wish there was some sort of machine where we could plug it into their heart and read what their heart was thinking. Because I know there's intimate moments where we're in line at a fast food joint. I always talk about fast food joints, but imagine this, you're in line at a fast food joint and you're 15 years old and your mom at the time is only in her 40s. And you start asking, what would you want, Mom? If you were ever there and the doctors told me you were gonna be brain dead and shit, you know, would you want me to pull the plug? And I believe that she probably did have that conversation with her mom, and her mom probably said, hey, don't jinx me, but if that shit ever does happen, make the best decision you can. Here's the problem. I don't think the mom would have liked it if the best decision she could make was just pulling out the damn plug. I think she would have preferred to get a second opinion from the doctor. And also, you got to keep in mind, if death was imminent, they would have probably said, we're going to pull the plug on your mom. Since you're her daughter, do you give us permission? That permission was not given, which leads me to believe her mom wasn't necessarily dying. And if that is the case, Mrs. Green, you're going to have to go to jail. I'm sorry. It's going to have to be for a long time, Miss Green. I know you're 54. I'm thinking at least 46 years. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed your walk today. I hope you guys enjoy your walk every day, not because I'm babbling, but because each and every walk you do, I believe, adds 10 or 15 minutes to the end of your life. You remember how they used to tell us that each cigarette takes off like 10 minutes of life? I'm going to go the opposite route. I'm going to say each half-hour walk is going to extend your life by 10 minutes. Guys, if that was a true statement, so many people would start walking tomorrow. So now that you're already walking, you're ahead of the game. Good job. I'll see you tomorrow.